Hey everyone, Paul at ISM. Welcome to part 3 of our Alpha Models 124th Audi RS6 video build. So leading on for part 2, we've got all the finishing touches to do to this. So we've got the wheel hubs, brakes, calipers, discs, we've got the wheels, the glass to put in, all the lights to do, the badges, the dreaded window wipers, the photo etch window wipers, and just all the finishing touches to get this wonderful model across the finish line and finished. So I've got to thank Alpha Models for sending me this kit. They did send me this kit for review and build. Much appreciated, guys. If you're watching this on their channel, which they do upload my videos to their channel, come across to International Scale Modeler and you can see my builds over here as well. So anyway, after these messages, let's jump in with the build and get started. Hey everyone, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. Right then, so we've got all of our brakes to do, wheels to do, and the finishing touches to the car. So we've got all the windows to put in, all the lights to do, the dreaded PE window wipers, we've got some grills, lots of bits and bobs to do. I love saying bits and bobs, one of my favourite sayings. We're going to start up by some cleanup. So we're just cutting off the calipers off the paw plugs. Now, it wasn't too mindful to leave these on. It would have left a blank piece when it was cut off, which you wouldn't see. It'd be hidden behind. But I thought, you know what? Let's just paint them up separately. Do it properly or don't do it at all. That's how I think about it. There is a little locating point we can hold with a crocodile clip, so we're all good. We can get them held properly. Now, the center part of the caliper had a very thin layer of resin, so I'm just using a scalpel very carefully to open that up. I'm just slowly scribing through the resin to cut through the actual resin part itself. Be careful using scalpels. I've recently switched to a scalpel. It's the first time I've ever used a scalpel as a modeling tool. I always use the Tamiya knives. I'm a big fan of them, but just sometimes that blade isn't quite pointy or sharp enough, because while the Tamiya blades are razor sharp, and they are very, very sharp, I don't think they quite got the edge that these hold. So opted to get them, already had the handles, and yeah, doing nice short work of this here, just gently scribing away at these parts to open it up. But how long is it going to take for a slice my finger open? I don't think it'll take long, do you? But we'll see. We will see. So like I say, always open to try new things. Like I said, it worked well here. Didn't work too bad at all. Just some very careful cutting and scraping, and we soon opened these up so they look perfect. So we've got photo etch discs. So we've got the resin core of the disc itself, and then the drilled disc PE covers. So they're cut off with our Zuron PE pliers and cleaned up with our Tamiya PE file. Nice and simple, quick and easy. So go around all 3 points. If you've got a longer piece like this, cut it off. Just make sure you're just cutting off the actual fret and not the actual part, and then hit it gently with the diamond file and clean them all up to the nice and clean. Make sure you pay attention to instructions. Leaving the parts on the resin paw plugs is a good idea because they tally up with their numbers on the instruction sheet and you can see what's what. So while there's a visual difference here in size to denote the rear from the front, it is also handy to know some of the parts sometimes. So apply a little bit of Bob Smith's Gold CA glue on here. Gives us plenty of time to move things around. Then using a silicone placer thing, using the actual handle of it to perfectly seat and centerize these discs, which works very well. And then we can leave those to dry. And then same on the opposite side. These have got a recessed raised area to go over, so these don't need centering. They'll center themselves. Just line it up, push them fully home, let the glue do the job, like so. And then we can repeat that for the other two as well. So 8 pieces of PE in total, with 2 center pieces on each one. So basically rinse and repeat, but I just thought I'd show the two at the back being built up. And then the two front ones you can figure out yourself. They're quite easy to do, quite self-explanatory. Like I say, just trim them, give them a good file, and just follow the instructions. While the instructions on these kits can be a little bit hit and miss, they are quite often a good indication, and I would say indication in the loosest sense of the word, of how these kits should go together. The Bob Smiths is great glue. It doesn't instantly bond. It gives you plenty of working time because it's foam safe. It's a little bit of a slower bond on normal parts, so it gives you plenty of time to move things around. So we are going to get some CA glue squeeze out of this because of the placement where it is, where it's actually located. So best thing to do is get a cotton bud, remove as much as you possibly can. If you get a streak like that, get a bit of acetone on a pointy cotton bud and just gently rub away. The acetone won't damage the photo etch, but it will damage plastic, so be very, very careful. But it takes super glue off in an instant. If you can't get pure acetone, nail varnish remover will do in a pinch, but I think you're better off with pure acetone. You can get it from any chemist, and it does work well. Absolutely stinks to high heaven, horrible chemical, but works very well at removing CA glue. So with that one part on, there's a piece that goes over the top like so, and that is our central hub. What we're going to do, we're going to paint all this up in carbon, zero paint carbon paint, and we'll mask off and spray the hub later on. I'm just making sure everything is fully seated down, there's no excess glue anywhere, and like I say, we'll hit it with the acetone and give it a good clean up, make sure it's all nice and clean. We don't need glue smears showing through our paint. And there you go, nice cross-drilled discs on each side. Now, you could drill them out if you wanted. In my experience, the photo etch doesn't drill the best, so I quite often opt out of doing that. Besides, the carbon discs look really good anyway. This is zero paint, no it's not. This is Mr. Service for 1500 black because we're priming. We're also going to do the wheels as well. Now, these are going to be tricky wheels. They have a diamond cut edge. And at this stage, I still wasn't quite sure how I was going to paint them. So my first thought was they're a gloss black basic wheel with diamond cut edges. So I thought I'll prime it, paint it in gloss black, and then we'll figure out the silver. But I came up with a much easier way, which you'll see in a bit. Also prime up all the calipers as well. Mr. Service for 1500 black, thinned about 70% with Mr. Hobby Leveling Thinner, dead easy. And then on the front grills, we're going straight gloss black. So this is GX2 Mr. Hobby, thinned 60-65% with Mr. Hobby Leveling Thinner. We're at about 16 psi, my iWatt HP C+. Put several coats down until we get a nice gloss black finish. Now, you can prime if you want, but I find spraying on bare plastic or bare resin gives a much smoother finish with this paint. Just because it's such a glossy paint, it does grip very well on bare plastic and resin, so it doesn't necessarily need priming. But if you're unsure, put a couple of coats of primer down first and then get this on. Now, you've got to put it on quite wet. Don't hose it on to begin with. Do a coat like that, put it to one side for 5 minutes to dry. I'm hitting with a bit of air there as well. And then come back to it and give it a second coat. We're going to do the exhaust as well, because looking online, the exhaust seems to be gloss black too. And then we've got those front smaller grills to do there as well. So we'll do them all together. And then second coat, come in, a bit heavier, and we want a nice gloss coat now. So everything's dried for a good 5 to 6 hours. We've got a zero paint carbon ceramic paint. Used this before, it's very, very nice. We're going through our 0.2mm UMP Apex airbrush at about 16 psi. We're just going to build this up slowly with plenty of coats. And what we're looking for is building up the colour and the metallic particles on the disc. So, I did say disc. Just build it up nice and slow. Don't be in a rush to do it. And yeah, you'll get a nice finish that looks like carbon. Obviously, don't forget to do the back as well. Does build up really nice, and obviously because you're spraying onto photo etch and resin, you've got no worries of it reacting with any plastic and crazing the plastic. So while I would recommend putting thick coats on, you don't need to be as worried or as careful. Calipers, I looked at all different kinds of caliper colours and decided on silver. Now this is the TS17 TS100 mix we use for the roll cage on the 12 scale Manufacturer Hero Lancia. It was there. Looking at online pictures, it looked a perfect colour for the ceramic brake discs, calipers, sorry. So I thought, you know what, that'll do us. So a couple of light coats of this, well, one light coat, one heavier coat, gives a nice glossy silver finish. We'll decal them and give them a gloss finish later on. And then we've got LP48, I think it is, sparkling silver. For this one. No, is it 48? It is 48. LP48 sparkling silver for the rear lights. Now with the wheels, like I say, plenty of options how to do this. I could have masked it. I could have painted the silver first and liquid masked it. Well, I thought, you know what, I've got these Edding pens. I tried to use this the other day on the dashboard of the Audi. It didn't quite go very well. And I thought, let's try it on the wheel. And let's see what it does. So I've got two of them, same colour. And this is actually a paint. So it's not a marker pen. It is actually a paint marker pen. So this is a silver, highly reflective, almost chrome metallic paint. So I'm using the thicker pen to get the thicker areas of the wheel. I'm looking at the picture of the rear wheel so I can see exactly how it should be done. And I've wiped the pen off, pulled the paint through by pressing down on the nib, wiped it off again, and I'm just lightly touching the surface. And I'm using the thicker pen for the larger areas and then the thinner pen for the more detailed areas. Now what we don't want to do is leave the pen on the surface because the capillary flow from the pen will flood the surface and put too much paint down. If it happens, grab a cotton bud and just wipe off the paint. If you're quick, you can get most of it off. But this worked really well. Quite impressed by this, to be honest. Nice steady hand. Get your magnifying glasses on. And yeah, just follow the instructions. Well, not the instructions, but find a picture of the real wheel. And just follow the colours. And like I say, it looked good. I think these look really good in the end. I've sped this bit up a bit because it was dragging on a little bit. But nice and simple. Actually quite fun to do as well. Nice to use these pens. These are really nice pens. They're not cheap. They're available in a multitude of colours. You know, reds, oranges, yellows, gold, copper, silver. As you can see, they definitely saved the day here because there's all four wheels done. They look great. That's exactly how the real car looks, like that. The pattern is exactly the same. Now, when we were doing the interior, I didn't realise there was some RS decals for the seats. So I popped them on. Luckily, we have no windscreen in just yet. So I popped them onto the seat, normal decal solution process, and then a couple of carbon inserts for the front grills as well. Now, I was going to decal and then clear coat, but the carbon was actually nice and glossy, so I opted to leave it be. Set it in place with UMP Strong and just left it be, and it looked absolutely spot on. Looked really good. With the front grille, we have a nice, so it's the RS6 badge background is how we'll describe it. So it's a piece of PE that's in the shape of the RS6 logo. You can see it just there. It is. It's an awkward little piece. So looking at real online references, luckily there's plenty of pictures of this car. It is everywhere. We place that roughly where it needs to be. We're using Bob Smith's again, and then leave that alone while it fully cures. And in the meantime, we'll put all the caliper decals on as well. Quite hard to see on the silver, but they look good, and this is what kind of the real car gets on the ceramic disc. I actually very nearly painted these in the body colour, but opted for silver in the end. Are you ready for it? 3, 2, 1. Off it goes. We found it though. It was all good. Decals for the centre of the wheels now as well. So easily applied. Hit them with UMP Strong. They set no problem at all. But obviously if you do use these pens, they take quite a while to dry. And they're very easy to take the shine off and smudge as well. So don't touch them at all. Need at least 12 hours to dry. Now we've got the decal for that PE badge that we put on the grille. So it's a nice little RX6 decal. Line that up. And then we've got the Audi badges as well, which come as PE. Now I was quite disappointed that the rear boot and this front grille badge, the RS6 ones, were not the metallic ones that come with all the other kits. Yeah, kind of disappointed to see that. But at least we've got the Photo Etch Audi rings, which was some Bob Smith's odorless glue and a very careful application. Basically line one side up. The Bob Smith's gives us loads of time to move things around. And just line one side up, straighten it up, and then when you're confident, push it down. Wing mirrors, we've got photo etch inserts, so a little tiny dab, a yabba dabba do of Bob Smith's glue. And we get the photo etch insert in place. And then we're onto the windscreen. Single-handedly the worst part about the Alpha Models kits. But the more you do, the easier, and I say easier in the loosest sense of the word, they become. They're quite stressful to do. Now, in the last one I did, I put Tamiya tape on the front windscreen, well, all the windows, that made them a lot easier to handle, manipulate in place. I completely forgot to do it on this one, and it would have made life a lot easier. And sadly, on this front windscreen, somehow, I got a quarter of a fingerprint on the very far right edge of that windscreen. I think it's right there now where I'm holding it. I've just got a fingerprint on the inside. And I don't see it till it's all together, and I can't get the window back off, and I can't get the chassis and interior back out. So there's a very slight little smudge of a fingerprint on the inside of the glass. Now, thankfully, you can't really see it, but it is there. Now, this screen needs to be bent, lifted up as far forward as it'll go at the front, and then slid in at the top. It's almost a perfect fit, this one. It's one of the best fitting ones I've had so far. Now, I did glue both sides because I knew I wouldn't be able to lift this up because of the shape of the screen. And the bonnet, the hood, basically stops it lifting. So I've glued both sides. So I've committed to gluing both sides in. But this is probably one of the better fitting windscreens I've had. It was a perfect fit. No ripples in the plastic at all. And to be fair, it actually glued in place pretty easily. The rest of the glass went in no problem. The center windows on the side were a smidgen, that's a technical term, too long. And I mean like a millimeter too long. And I just cut off the very outer edge of them with my decal scissors just to make them fit. They are oversized, they don't fit. But the rest of them went on like a dream. Best fitting windscreen I've had. The rear window fits on perfectly as well. So top marks to Alpha. These kits just improve as they go. They just work absolutely brilliant. Test fit every window before you commit to glue. These have all been test fitted beforehand. This is the one that needed cutting. So it was test fitted. It was a little bit too long. So I took it out and just trimmed the very right hand side where there's no window marking on to make it fit. But test fit every window before you commit to glue, and you'll have no issues gluing it in place. Be confident and precise, and you shouldn't get any glue marks. And if you do, what we found out recently is a very handy tip that on 2K, if you get super glue on the 2K, the super glue debonder takes the super glue off the 2K with no problems. Doesn't damage the 2K at all. So I'm not saying how far you can push it, but I got a little bit of say glue in a couple of spots. A little bit of debonder. You can see my debonder on the right hand side. We're gluing the exhaust in, by the way. The debonder's on the right hand side on a cotton bud, wiped off almost instantly. Perfect. There we go. There's a rear exhaust in and all the windows as well. I'll have a protective film on. For now, we'll take those off at the end. But nice to know about the debonder, taking the glue off, because the amount of times I've got it on there and I had to sit and sand and polish it, and you don't need to. But a debonder on a cotton bud or a cloth, lightly rub it. Over 2K, I can't comment on any other clears, and it takes it off no problem at all. So, nice tip. I can't remember who shared it with us now. I'm pretty sure it was Luke from Pond Built Modelling. I can't remember. I know he confirmed it for us by trying it, but it's Sunday one of my live streams. So we've got the rear reflective light clusters are in. All the door handles are in. Now these are handed and shaped to go one particular way. Refer to the instructions and real life pictures of the car to get these the right way round. We've got a little bit of Bob Smith's odorless glue on there. And we're just popping them in place. And same for the wing mirrors, a little bit of Bob Smith's, tiny little bit, you do not need a lot at all. And cut these down, I had to cut these down quite far to get them to fit, but they're a nice precise fit. And went in no problem, make sure they're straight and at the angle you want them. Like I said, I love the paint on this car, it's absolutely beautiful, really is. And the wheels, this is dried overnight now, it's been drying for about 24 hours. We've got the Iwata HPC Plus again. We've got some Mr. Hobby Super UV Cut Clear Gloss that's been decanted, thinned with Mr. Level and Thinner. We're at about 16 psi. And we're going to put probably 3 light coats on and 2 heavier coats on this to get a nice glossy wheel and a little bit less on the calipers. Smaller parts, don't need to be quite as thick, and then they're left to dry overnight again. Now we've got the clear resin lights for the front and rear. They do have pull plugs on, they are going to need cleaning, so take your time here. I wouldn't recommend snipping them because of the shape of them, you run the risk of shattering them. But the razor saw from JLC does short work of it, and then we can use our U&P sander to remove the rest. And these are going to be painted in clear red. The discs we painted earlier on, we need to paint the center hubs. So you could brush paint it if you wanted. You could use a circle template and hold it over where you sprayed it. For me, I've got the Space Circle Cutter. It's one of those tools that very rarely gets used. It's very expensive, but it is invaluable because for cutting circles, it is brilliant. Now, as you can see, it took me many attempts to get the right size, tweaking and honing it to get it to fit. But once it does, it makes quick, easy work, as you can see, of masking the hubs. We've used some of the spare excess tape to infill the rest, and all the clear parts, including the very central full-length plastic part that I snapped, well, resin. We'll have to glue that in halves later on. And then we've got some Mr. Colour Clear Red, thinned with a dab of Mr. Hobby Leveling Thinner through our Iwater HPC Plus, sorry. No, it's an S, hang on, is it? HPC Plus. There we go. Get it right. HPC Plus. 0.3mm needle. Like I say, people are going to comment on this a lot lately. I've not given up on the Apexes. I just really fancied using an Iwater again. So I bought them. Simple as that, really. And that's going to be my normal mainstay airbrush. And as you can see, is my Apex now, my 0.2mm one that we're going to use very blurrily. Squint and it'll go into focus to spray some LP61 metallic grey on the hubs of the brake discs. So, like I say, Apex is a phenomenal airbrush, great airbrush. I'll stand by it all day long. I just really missed using the Iwater, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to get another one. Now again, leaving parts on the pull plugs means you can see where they go. Instructions aren't the clearest here, but luckily the locator points for the calipers give away which caliper goes where and which hub is for what. So the small ones are the rear and the larger ones are the front. They go a particular way. There's a lug in the back that's shaped for the chassis, so it's very clear which way these go. So a little dab of Bob Smith's glue. Hold this here. We know it's going to be loose and it will fall off, but we kind of want that. We want it to be precise. That unpainted part of the disc or rotor is pushed into there so you can't see it. And then a quick test fit in place. There we go. That's the right way around the caliper needs to go, and the wheel in place as well. Make sure the ride height's good, the wheel sits in the arch perfectly, and we're all good. And I'll do both sides at one time. And what I like to do is line up the caliper with the disc and then the hub, so we know everything's the right way, and then use the wheel to get it centerized. A little bit of Sear glue on the back of the disc, and then hold it all together, hit that with a bit of kicker on a micro brush, and away we go. Now these wheels are handed. Look at real pictures of the car and you'll see they are handed. 2 for each side. They go a particular way, so make sure you get the correct wheels on the correct side. So again, the instructions are a very rough reference. Now with the discs and calipers in place and the hubs, they're Sear glued in place and looking really nice. We're going to put a Tamiya black panel line wash in there to add a little bit of depth to it, all around the hub of the disc and around the caliper. We're not going really heavy at all. We have thinned it a touch, and then with a dab of Sear glue, thicker Sear glue now, not the Bob Smiths, in the center of the wheel hub. We can pop the wheel in, line the wheel up with your caliper where you want the wheel to sit before you push it home. Because as you can see, I only just got that where I wanted it. Make sure it's all straight and level. Tyres move around a lot on the Alpha models. They are a bit of a pain. But there we go. And then repeat that for the front. So in these finishing stages, be very careful using CA glues and what have you. It's so easy to get these glues in places where you don't want them. Like I've got the bottle on the bench there. It's very easy to run the model over the top of the nib and then it would glue. Now, thankfully knowing now that the CA glue debonder takes it off is brilliant. But just be careful. It's so easy to wreck things at this stage. Check your fingers before you touch anything, especially on the model. I always just, by force of habit, wipe it on my trouser leg, and then if there was any glue there, it'll be gone. And just minimise the risks of ruining your model at this stage. Those wheels look brilliant. They're not the prettiest of designs, I'll admit, but they look great with a diamond cut over the gloss black. I think it is a very unusual design. Front lights go in place. Now, I'm going to openly admit, there were a couple of dozen PE parts to go in to show the LED lights on the model. And I tried putting 3 or 4 in and lost the will to live. So I opted not to put them in. So I kind of chickened out. But hey ho, it's my model and it still looks good. So I'm happy. We cut off the front light lens as well. And we go around it with our Sharpie marker to add the rubber seal. Now these didn't fit quite perfect. They could probably done with a little bit of heat and just bending at the end to wrap it round, because it just didn't quite go on properly. But it kind of, you run the risk of snapping it, so I opted just to leave it. It wasn't sticking out a massive amount, it just needed bending that little bit to go in place. Got the rear RD badge on, PE badges on there, the RS6 decals on there as well, which again, I wish it was a metallic decal like we get on a lot of the cars. And as I've done with all my Alphas, I'm using the metallic PE number plate that says Audi on it, with some double-sided tape on the back, which allows us to position it properly and push that down and push it home. And then we've got the dreaded PE window wipers. Now, another confession. My RS6 has a single wiper on the front and no wiper on the back. Now, I hate the look of window wipers on the rear hatch of estate cars. I just think it ruins the lines of the cars massively. So I knew there was one with the kit and I'd opted to leave it off from the very beginning. So we're not even going to attempt to put the rear one on. But there was 2 larger ones, a straight-armed one here and one with a really bent arm. And I thought, that's really unusual. So we're just bending the pieces here using my small shop tools bending machine. I'm going to show I made one of them in detail. When it came to fit the window wipers, this straight one fitted on the driver's side perfect, no problem at all. The other one, it was as if there was 2 rear window wipers in the kit, a short one and a longer one. It's just completely the wrong shape for the model. And even when I look at the real car, it should have 2 of these straight arms, and it doesn't. It has a really bent window wiper, really bent arm, like almost 90 degrees, and it's just wrong. So, like I said, I've opted to leave one window wiper on. You can't really see them anyway, they're hidden by the bonnet. It does hide them really well. But fairly simple to do. We get the neck of these, just a little bit of glue on the arm, bend the blade holder itself a little bit, put a couple of dabs on the blade. We're out of focus, I do apologise. I will get a perfect video of this one day. A little dab of glue, hold it on, and there you go. There's the window wiper in place, job done. And then I did build up the other one, and then when it came to fitting it, I was like, yeah, that doesn't fit. So we should have got 2 of these in the kit. And one had a really bent arm, and it's just doesn't seem right to me at all. So we've got a couple of grills for the back to go around the exhausts and the centre diffuser. So they've been cut off, they've been bent into shape and test fitted. And we're going to hit these up with some Mr. Service of 1500 black. Just a couple of light coats over the PE. Don't go too heavy on PE, especially mesh. I've had it infill the mesh before. And I've had to clean up with a pin and then reprime. So don't go too heavy. Obviously, the finer the mesh, the finer you need to be on the paint. And then the window wipers, like I say, they are both there. The other one's off camera. I did paint them all up, but they just didn't look right at all. So some Bob Smiths in place to glue these grills in. So this big larger one goes right in the center of that rear diffuser. And then there's 2 little ones around each exhaust. Now a little bit fiddly to get in place, but easy to do nonetheless. And it's a case of just holding it. Like I said, the Bob Smiths just take a little bit longer to glue in place. And there we go, there's the other 2 around the exhaust. Now we do have the screw holes underneath. I'll paint them black later on with the paint marker pen. But to be honest, never going to see under here anyway. Never going to lift it up and look under there. And just pushing those grills in place. There we go. And then a satisfying part, but not when you find the fingerprint on the front window, is peeling off the protective film on the windows. Just be careful, especially if you get snagged like that, because it goes under the rear spoiler. But it is satisfying nonetheless. Now we've got the ultimate polish system, which is used to polish the car up. And now we've got the spray and shine wax. So spray some of that into a nice clean cotton cloth. This is one of the ones we sell at UMP. And just go around the whole model and put a light coat on. You don't need to do anything but wipe it on. Make sure you get all the coverage. Let it haze off. Buff it off. And it's basically a spray show and shine wax. Really easy. Leaves a really nice shiny finish. Doesn't leave any residue behind. I am much more of a fan of this than our purple wax. Purple wax is fantastic, but if we put it on a little bit too heavy, it will leave residue on all the panel lines. So I do much prefer this out of the two products. And this is where I use in all my cars. And what a wonderful shine we get off this. My paintwork is not perfect. I'm always the first to openly admit. We do have a couple of dust spots that are still there a bit. You can see them in the angle of the light. But I'd rather have a slight flaw than run the risk of ruining a nice paint job, which is what this is. The 2K and colour is lovely. You can just see all the dust spots there in the light above the bench. But hey, it's a flaw. It's one of those. They're not perfect models. I never profess to build perfect models. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy my hobby. I enjoy my job, which is this. I enjoy the feedback I get off you guys and girls out there on the builds. And I love building these alpha models. These are absolutely beautiful kits. My goal this year is to accumulate the rest of this year as many of these models as I can get and build as many as I can. I absolutely really enjoy building these. They are very satisfying kits to build and offer some wonderful, wonderful subjects. Nobody else makes an RS6, and I doubt anybody else ever will. So it's nice to get this kit, and what a wonderful car. Absolute machine, it really is. So the spray wax works absolutely wonderful. Once you've sprayed it on, get a nice clean cloth, go around, buff it all up. And there we go. We're done. We're all finished. There's some final pictures. So she turned out wonderful. I think it looks great. This next to the blue Audi RS4 looks awesome. And yeah, just a really nice model. Very satisfying, new tooled kit from Alpha Models. And I can't recommend this kit enough. It's absolutely beautiful to build. And it came out great. So this was primed in Tamiya Grey. Surface primer, decanted and sprayed on the model. We then use Zero Paint's Ipanema, I can never say the name, brown. We've used a kit supply carbon and some of my own carbon on the roof spoiler, and that went down absolutely fantastic. And then we cleared it in Gravity Spain's 2K clear coat, which was flattered with micro mesh and polished with the UMP polish system. The interior is Zero Paint's tan leather with black flocked carpets and LP5 leather. We added some silver accents in there as well. The wheels and surface are 1500 black with the Edding Pen silver diamond cut added and clear coated with the Mr. Hobby clear coat. And that's it really. It's just a beautiful kit of an epic machine. I'd love to own a real one of these. And I just think the colour looks absolutely beautiful. I'm so glad, Mike. Thank you, mate. I know you'll watch this. He recommended the colour for the RS4, but I was just too late to paint it. I'd already done it blue. But I saw Alpha Models have released this. Ask Alpha Models for a sample to review and build, which they kindly sent me free of charge. And here it is. And what a fantastic looking machine, and what a wonderful colour. So there we go. Let's go back to me. So there we are. I am very, very happy with that one. She looks wonderful. She's sat lonely at the minute on that shelf because I've cleared all that shelf out. There's been a few move arounds in here. The 12 scale Skyline now lives up there, and a few bits have moved around. So it gives me loads more room to display case. I'm going to move things around a little bit to showcase some of my prouder models around, which is mostly the Alpha models because they've all turned out absolutely fantastic. But what a great kit that was to build. Really, really was. I know it's the old cliche, I got it for free and I'm going to say that, but it wasn't. It was genuinely a brilliant kit to build. A few issues with the glass being a little bit too big on the side windows. The window wipers, I am not sure what's going on there at all, but it definitely looked like it was the wrong type of window wiper. I think there should have been two of those straight arms in there. So I don't know, but what a great looking model of an awesome machine as well. So top marks to Alpha Models. I thoroughly enjoy building these kits. They are good fun. And as I say, I'm trying to cater for you guys and me by building everything. So I've got plastic kits on the go. We've got GTX on the go. I've got loads of other of my normal plastic kits to build in future, including an upcoming Christmas buddy build, which I'm going to announce on my bench update, which will be out in a few days. I've got the Alpha Models kits for the mid-price, because these are about £150, 180 now, they're going up in price. And then we've got the high-end Model Factory Heroes, of which we've got the Lancia on the go, the Delta. I've got a 250 GTO, which is wonderful, to build next. I've got a 037 in 12 scale as well. The GTO is 12th. And I've got the Pink Pig in 24 scale, which is a review of a while back too. So I'm trying to cater to everybody. So if you think of anything I'm not covering, it's going to be car related, I'm afraid. My days of building aircraft and armour are long gone. And probably bikes, if I'm honest. I do plan to finish the Suzuki, but no future builds in the pipeline with bikes. Let me know what you'd like to see. I'm trying to cover American cars, road cars, race cars. Just trying to cover everything for your interest and mine as well. So let me know in the comments down below, or drop me a message or an email and let me know your thoughts on it. So there we are. So glad this one is done. Really enjoyed that build. Good fun. And now I get to pick another one. I think I know what I'm going to do. And it'll tie in with the German group build that's just started over on ISM. So that's what I plan to do. So you'll see that one be announced in my bench updates. Keep an eye out for that. As always, you want to support the videos and the channel, there's a Patreon me link in the description down below. That gives you 2-week early access on all the videos, a few other perks. You get a monthly live stream, which is the 5th of October, this coming Wednesday. I'll be doing a giveaway that day for the tier 4s and higher as well. I'm going to give away one of my full ISM mugs and aprons as well. Is that my t-shirt, by the way? And yeah, you also keep these videos going on the daily live streams as well, because I couldn't do this without your guys' support. There's a PayPal me and a Buy Me Coffee link down there too. And there's links to everything else down there, ISM and UMP related, Styring and Machine, the group builds, off-air hangout groups, everything, as well as an email address to get in touch with me, my Scalemates. You can go look at all my stash. And there's all the products I use in my videos linked down there as well. So the question for today. If you had to live by a motto, what would it be? That could be a bad question to ask, couldn't it? I've got one. It's still on the forum to this day, and it's a man's got to know his limitations, and it's a Clint Eastwood. I think it's a Dirty Harry quote actually that I've used for quite a while. And yeah, everyone needs to know the limitations. So what do you live your life by? This could be quite bad. Let's see what people come back with. I might get trolled on this one. We'll see. But yeah, a man's got to know his limitations, man. What is your kind of motto you live by? That'd be interesting to find out, wouldn't it? Make sure you sub to the channel, click the bell notifications to get notified of the latest videos. Give the video a thumbs up, and please leave a comment. Love reading all your feedback on the comments, and it spurs me along with the builds. I'll see you in a few days for a bench update, where we're going to talk about this again, and some future planned builds that are on the way, with some nice goodies that I've bought recently for that GT2 Porsche we're going to build as well. And you'll see updates on the GTX coming soon, and probably the Lancia again. I'm going to come back to the Lancia and try and get some of that bodywork in place. So that's the plan. There we go. I've waffled on enough. Enjoy the rest of the night, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.